Like, we still have DSL, like, it's all through the phone line.
Mm.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Optimistic Underdog podcast, where we talk official sports news with unofficial sports people. I am your host, Erica, and with me today is a special guest, my friend Matic. What is up? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. I'm so glad you're here to talk about all of the hockey news this week. We have a big story. I'm pretty excited. So let's jump right into it. So, the big news this week, the biggest news this week, the NHL returning to ESPN. So, I just want to know, what do you think about this? Because this is pretty exciting.
It is pretty exciting. I'm definitely happy to see a little bit. It seems like there might be overall a few more games on television this way, and on streaming services, which is much more exciting to me because I'm not one to pay for a television subscription, if we're being honest.
I agree with you there. Yes, with the NHL TV going to ESPN Plus, that's fantastic because I know that I have the bundle with the Disney Plus, the Hulu, ESPN Plus. You get a couple hockey games on that right now, but
Yeah.
not too much. With this coming next season, I'm going to be watching so much hockey. I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I mean, that's like every out of market game, which the
Mhm.
whole out of market thing, it makes it so that obviously I'm in Colorado watching the Avs, so I
Mhm.
just, find some other source to watch these games. But, it's just like an old mentality to have these out of market things. And it's just tough to watch games if you're in your own city, which is a bummer. But it is great if you are out of the area and can just watch the 1,000+ games or whatever that they're going to have on there.
So many games, yes. It's 1,000 games per season streaming on ESPN Plus, it says. Um, and ESPN Plus and Hulu will be home too. It says 75 ESPN produced exclusive telecasts per season, which sounds pretty cool. But I know for me, I open my closet and of course I have my Penguins jerseys, but I
Mm-hmm.
also have obviously my Avs jersey. I have my Boston jerseys. I have my Vegas jerseys. I have hopefully soon my
Dang,
Dallas jersey. I
that's a lot
have
of
my Tampa
collections.
I have my Tampa Bay jersey. I could go on for a while.
Yeah.
Me and my brother, we actually play this game where we'll go through each of the teams and we're all like, all right, well, I want that guy's jersey and I want that guy's jersey. I
Mm.
could pick a guy off almost every team that I would wear someone's jersey. I love watching out of market games. I love hockey. So I'm excited for, the opportunity to be able to actually easily watch games and not just the ones that they pick and choose and say, well, this one seems like it'll be a good one for you to watch this week. So this is pretty
Yeah.
exciting.
For sure. And since Doc Emmerich's not really calling the games anymore, it doesn't bum me out. Which, like, if he was
Right.
still calling the games, I would have been like, oh man, it's moving away from me. See, this is like a huge bummer. But since he's not there calling the games anymore, it's kind of like not
Yeah.
as big of a deal to me anymore.
When they first said that NBCSN wasn't going to have the hockey games anymore, I was a little like, oh, okay, well, that's going to be weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Without Doc, I mean, Doc is goofy and I love him, and it's been
He
so
says
weird.
he has the best calls of
He
like
has
everything.
the best. Like I've grown up here we have a radio caster in Pittsburgh who's been phenomenal, and he has the goofiest catchphrases and I love him. But Doc is something special, and not having our normal radio caster on the radio and then not having Doc on NBC is just so odd for me this season. And you're right. Like I'm happy for it to move to ESPN and get some new voices. This is going to be fantastic. Um, Especially like you said, getting more games in.
Yeah,
So,
it'll be interesting to see if they bring like their NHL. They used to have an NHL highlight show with
mhm.
Bucci Gross and Barry Melrose, I think.
Yep, Barry Melrose.
And
Oh, this
yeah, I
it's
love Barry Melrose. His like, because during an average Sports Center telecast, they'll just like casually mention hockey every once in a while, and then when
mhm.
the playoff season comes around, Barry Melrose will be on every day to talk about what happened. And he's great.
Yep, it is. And I know that Stephen A did a little video this past week that he put out on Twitter that was going through his A-list of 5 things he liked about hockey or something, and, I think his number 1 was, "The puck is black." It's like, yep, and he pulled that great line from the Saturday Night Live skit, "Let's do that hockey," which is one of my favorite Saturday Night Live skits.
I don't know if
Uh,
I've seen that one.
it is fantastic. It's with Chance the Rapper,
Oh,
um,
wait, yeah, I did
when
see that
he's
one because he did the
interviewing
esports one
Mhm.
recently. Yeah,
He
yeah.
did he did the interview with Brady Shea from the Rangers where he spells his last name, I think it's like Skjecki or something like that is how
Mhm.
you spell his name. But yeah, he's like, "There's a bunch of consonants there." And he has done quite a few of those interviews. I think he did one with, wanna say PK Subban, Henrik Lundqvist maybe, a few other ones a season or 2 ago, but they're fantastic, and actually, I think my fantasy hockey team a few times has been "Let's do that hockey" because yeah, that
Mhm.
skit is fantastic, I love it.
Yeah,
Um, so this deal also includes opening night games, the All-Star Game, skills challenges, and a bunch of other special events, so that'll be fun to see what those are. Um, and yeah, I just like I said, it's got international rights, which is awesome too, because that'll just, spread hockey a little more, few more places, which is great because
for sure.
I love seeing hockey just expand, and it's awesome, especially uh, with them playing the overseas games, which they would love to bring back next season. I know we spoke a little bit about they expect to start next season on time. They're hopeful
Yeah.
for the 82 games. We'll keep our fingers crossed. But they also were talking about hopefully being able to play those European games like they have in the past few years before the pandemic started. So we'll see if that comes back too. And it would be great, being able to expand to these other markets that, get some new fans in as well, which would be awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because I was reading about like the old deal and the new deal, and at the point when NBC was negotiating, hockey was kind of like in like a middling place. Like there wasn't a huge amount of interest, and they paid 1.9 billion for 10 years, and ESPN's paying 2.8 billion for 7 years, which
7
like
years.
that's
Yep.
a pretty significant jump, and I
That's
think
an
it definitely speaks to the power of advertising in live events
hmm
because there's like no one really wants to watch ads anymore. Everyone's watching their Netflix. Like there's not stuff on TV that people are watching live and are actually like paying it even slightly paying attention to the commercials like live sports.
Yep. And so here's the quote from Gary Bettman, the NHL commissioner, which now is when we all boo, boo,
But
because
of
that's
course, of
what we
course.
do. That's what we do for
No
Gary
doubt, no
Bettman.
doubt.
Not only will this groundbreaking 7-year deal enable the NHL to benefit from the incomparable power, reach, and influence of the Walt Disney Company and ABC ESPN, it sets a new standard in delivering our game to the most passionate and tech savvy fans in sports in the ways they now demand and on the platforms they use, which I mean, he nailed it. That's
Yeah,
exactly right. I mean, ESPN Plus currently has more than 12 million subscribers. That's a lot of people. And Hulu has 39.4 million. That's a lot more. So,
yeah.
and especially with this bundle deal. I mean, I know I get mine through my phone service. It's fantastic because it comes with my music plan. So, it's just another
Yeah.
great way to, save some money and now I get sports on top of it. It just keeps getting better and better. So, I mean, I think he just makes some great points there.
Yeah, I mean, he did a great job negotiating this deal because I don't know if you saw, but apparently it only includes one conference final, so he might be negotiating like
Mm,
another deal for some amount of other games and the other conference final to
I did not see
with
that.
another network apparently. So,
Wow. That's
yeah,
wow.
that's like doubling his money basically for basically no reason.
Whew. Well, that could be interesting. So it has been a while since we've seen NHL on ESPN, but the first NHL games, I just love these little facts. These are cool.
Mhm.
Appeared on ESPN December 19th in 1979. So that was um, more than 3 months after the network premiered. So that's not too bad. So it was right at the beginning. They continued to produce NHL content for the next 9 years. Then from 1992 which was when the Pens won their first Stanley Cup, second Stanley Cup, that's right, to 2004. So I was pretty big gap. And then after that, everything else has been on NBC or its cable properties. So yeah.
I mean, it's definitely it also says special events, which I just assumed to
Hmm.
mean the outdoor games. Which did you watch that Lake Tahoe one?
I saw the Lake Tahoe one, and actually I wanted to bring that up. How do we even go back to games, outdoor games in stadiums after that? Like, that was beautiful. That
Yeah,
was
it was very cool.
gorgeous. And that is, I mean, that's how I'm getting goosebumps, just like seriously. That's
Mhm,
how outdoor hockey is meant to be played. I
for
mean,
sure.
I went to an outdoor game. I'm
I did
not
as well.
I went to the Pens versus the Capitals. It was the alumni game. So it was the
Mhm.
day before, like, the big game, which honestly I thought was a blast. It was so much fun. And it was cool watching them all play. But I mean, yeah, the outdoor game was fun. I would honestly rather them play at Lake Tahoe with that backdrop, throw up some bleachers maybe, nothing too big, have it be like a special event, if you want a couple fans in attendance, but how can you beat that view? That
Yeah, I
was
don't know.
amazing, and at night with the stars and everything, that was like,
Very cool, very cool.
oh my gosh, I can't wait to see, like, they have to start I mean, I would buy a panorama photo of that,
Mhm.
like, just and hang it on my wall. It's gorgeous. It was just
Yeah.
mind-blowing.
It was also crazy that that Avs game was, like, 10 hours long technically because
I
they played 1
know.
period.
Yep, and they're like, "Nope, we can't do this right now." What was it? The ice was melting, right, for their game? Is that what it was? The
Mhm.
ice was
Yeah,
melting?
it was I didn't think it was that bad when I was, like, watching the play, but when they
Yeah.
were, like, showing replays after they had decided to delay it, it was like, "Oof, yeah, there's some divots in this ice right now."
Little bit rough, yeah, so, I mean, that's the problem you do get with outdoor games is obviously the weather is just you can't always control it, but,
Yeah.
I mean, that view and I mean, I know, there's a place in Canada, BAFTA? Um, I'm not gonna be able to remember the name off the top of my head, but there's this place that you always see these videos of guys skating on this ice up in Canada, and
Oh,
it's just
yeah. I know what you're
the
talking about.
reflection of the sunrise or whatever it is, and it's the most beautiful thing in the entire world, and it's like, that is where it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to look, and that's just what you envision when you think of outdoor hockey, and I love it, and that's just I really don't I mean, obviously, the outdoor games are a different atmosphere with that many people, in a normal stadium, indoors, you get between 15 and 20,000 fans. Outside, you're getting triple that, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
just it was so pretty. It was so pretty watching it on TV. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
So,
NBC does a great job with all the outdoor games and their broadcasts.
they
I
really
hope
do.
that ESPN can hit that
I
with,
agree.
like, they, like, put, like, nice little pieces together at the beginning of every
Mhm.
game, and I just hope ESPN keeps that up.
I agree.
I went to the one that was in Colorado Springs,
Okay.
and, uh, it was an adventure, to say the least. It was cold and dark, and it took like 3 hours to get in and like 5 hours to get back to my house, even though it's like a hypothetical 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
We were like, we're never driving to Colorado Springs again after this,
Was that
because
the
we were
one against
sitting
the
in a parking
Kings?
lot. Yeah, we were
Yeah.
sitting in a parking lot for like 3 hours or something like that, waiting
Yeah.
to leave.
There is a, fellow friend of the show, Eric, was at that one as well, I do believe. He's a Kings fan, um, and I remember hearing him talk about the traffic. I'm pretty sure that that was the one that he was at as well, and, yeah, I remember hearing stories about how terrible the traffic was for that, and, yeah, I mean, that's always the part that's no fun. The
Yeah.
game part's fun. The traffic afterward, never the fun part. Um,
No, definitely not.
which, hey, if you just have them at a pretty place like, like
Lake
Tahoe,
Tahoe,
then you don't
doesn't
have to
matter.
worry about the traffic because there's nobody there and we can just all watch the very beautiful scenery on our televisions at home where it's nice and toasty and warm. So,
Mhm.
it's awesome. Uh, so I wanted to talk to you a bit about I know we brought up the fact that they plan to start the season on time next year. 82 full games, which means the draft would definitely be this summer as well, you would assume. So I just what do you think about that? I think that would be, I mean, obviously we have high hopes for that.
I mean, I'm hoping that everything's under control and, we can I can go to one of those preseason games or early season games
Right.
live at the
Mhm.
Pepsi Center or the Ball Arena. Sorry.
The
They changed names.
name changes.
But yeah, I mean, it would be good to have like another full season going for sure.
Right.
Definitely spreads the play out a little bit more. The Avs love getting injured, and so during seasons where there's a bunch of games in a short amount of time, it's not doing them too well at the moment.
It does not, and I can sympathize with that so much. We finally, the last game the Pens played, our last defenseman that had played all of the games in the season finally got hurt. So we have had 0 defensemen play every game this season now,
Mm,
which is pretty, on par with us. We are a pretty injury-ridden team. Um, I do remember at the beginning of the season, it was McKinnon got injured, but that was when you guys had the COVID outbreak with the Avs.
yeah,
So the whole time he was injured was when you guys were closed down, so he missed no games
it's true. Yeah,
because, uh, it was when you guys weren't playing, which was kind of, I mean, if you look at it, lucky on one hand, just really sucked that, you guys had to stop playing for 2 weeks because of everything.
yeah.
But, you know,
Our
yeah,
our
the
backup
injuries are
goaltender
different.
has been injured like most of the season,
Oh,
so
no.
yeah.
Yeah.
When you're playing back to back nights, that's not the ideal scenario. That's for sure.
It's really not. This season has definitely proved, I mean, I'm very thankful that we have a season to watch this year. It's definitely rough to navigate, that is for sure. So to look forward to an actual 82 game season with divisions being back to normal because they are hoping for all of that. Um, it'd be nice because even something down to the fact that we had last year the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Dallas Stars playing in the finals. They're in the same division this year. That's just
Mm,
weird. Like,
yeah.
that's not how it's supposed to go. But, we make do with what we have, and that's what we have. So, I definitely
And
think
yeah,
it's interesting.
it'll be nice to play a Canadian team again sometime, you know?
It would be nice to play a Canadian team again, I agree. I kinda miss the Canadian national anthem a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. Um, I will say this, I know, the Penguins, for the last stretch of home games we had, we were allowing fans back in our stadium again at, 15%. Uh, Kinda weird seeing people in the stands,
No
um,
doubt, no doubt.
but it was nice to hear our national anthem singer actually sing, which was
Mm,
cool. That
yeah,
was something that was like a little, it's like, "Oh, wow." It was nice hearing his recorded singing at the beginning of games. It's even better hearing him actually sing at the beginning of games now. So that
for
was
sure.
pretty cool. I mean, yeah, as nice it is as it is having games, it's a little tiring seeing the same 5 teams all season long.
That's
So,
true.
but yeah, I mean, I know this season has been difficult and the Avs were still, they were still projected pretty high up there on the rankings to, do well,
Yeah,
but
they're not doing
not
as well as they should
not
be
right
if they
now.
are a Stanley Cup contender.
Hey, we've seen 8 seed teams win the cup
I
before,
agree with you,
so,
yeah. As long as you can get to the playoffs and most of your players don't get injured during those playoffs, you're good.
that's the important part. Getting there is the important part, and I mean, I still don't even know if the Pens are making it there because our division is just ridiculous.
Oh,
So
yeah, no doubt.
we'll see. This year it's kind of going to be like last year. We'd just be happy we get a little bit of hockey to watch. And next season we should have a new team, the Seattle Kraken.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
So
That should be good.
that should be interesting. I'm excited because their jerseys look awesome, and
They do.
but then there's always that terrifying moment of who are we gonna lose to the new team? Because
There
last time
is,
that
yeah.
didn't turn out real well for me, and I still remember crying that night a lot. Um,
Who did Vegas take?
they took Marc-Andre Fleury
Ah,
from the
yes.
Kings.
Ah, yes, I forgot.
And the bad part is that we all knew it was coming,
Mm,
but it didn't make it hurt any less watching him walk out on the stage with a Vegas jersey on because that part I was not prepared for.
yeah,
And
that's fair.
That was a little rough. Marc-Andre Fleury, super great guy, very nice. I was lucky enough to
Still
meet him
got the
once or twice.
skills.
Still got the skills, and now we've been through a couple goaltenders since, it's fine.
Yeah.
Tristan Jarry is doing very well this season. I'm very happy. So, not quite sure how Matt Murray's doing up in Ottawa. I honestly haven't watched any Ottawa games recently. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's just so weird. I feel like it's like a whole nother league
it
outside of
it
the like
does.
4 teams that I see.
What's the Canadian League doing right now? I don't know
I have
because
no idea.
it almost feels like we are in our own little bubbles this season because you're not playing teams outside of your division. Like, I'm usually so good at knowing where Tampa is and where the Avs are and where, Vegas is and Dallas and all these teams and LA. These are all teams I usually follow so closely, and it's so difficult this year because we only play 5 or 6 teams. It's just seems very odd. Like,
Yeah. It's also interesting because like the Canadian teams are like generally like the lower tier
mhm,
playoff making teams that like don't make it out of the first round.
yeah,
I feel like that's pretty been like a consistent theme for like the last 10 years or so almost.
yeah,
Um, they're not like making it to the finals regularly. So it's kind of interesting to see how that will have an impact when it does get time for all these teams to start playing each other again. And
it
when they've
really
like
will.
haven't seen them a single time for any of the teams they play in the playoffs, basically.
I think it will make playoffs pretty interesting this year, actually, and that's a really good point just to see since we haven't played, like, Columbus is 4 hours down the road, and
Yeah.
we haven't seen them at all this season. I think it'll be interesting just to see how everyone plays against each other when you really, I mean, you're not even going up against many of the teams that you've been playing all season. It'll definitely be interesting. Playoffs are going to be weird this year, I think.
Yeah. I
Definitely
mean,
going to be a lot of fun.
the NHL playoffs are always a wild ride, and
That's true.
that's what
They
I
are.
like the most.
It is. It's the best part of hockey. It's the best time to watch hockey is the playoffs. Like, don't try to get a hold of me ever between 7 and 11 o'clock on a weekday night during playoffs because I'm watching hockey. Um, Pretty much every night too, so yeah, it is the best time of year, playoff hockey time, and I think I mean, and the trade deadline's coming up pretty soon too. I think that's
Yeah.
gonna be another interesting thing
Oh,
to
for sure.
see if any players from Canadian teams get moved down to the American side and vice versa. I think that's gonna be interesting because 'cause they're gonna have to
Yeah.
pass through COVID protocol.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm not enjoying this season is the fake crowd noises that we've got going on. So if there's really going to be a season of 81 game season next season, and hopefully there's a few more fans there,
I
and
think
we can get rid of that.
Yeah, I think they were saying that if the goal is to at least be able to have a number of fans in each stadium, not full capacity, but, you know, some fans. And I know I believe it was last week, where at least in our stadium, they're currently doing like in this row, you'll have people on each side, and then you skip a row. And then in the row behind that, you'll have people
Mm.
in the middle, and then you skip a row so that you're never crossing over fans. So
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
you don't have to cross over anybody. You're still the 6 feet apart, and then they're selling tickets in pods, which I think is what a lot of the stadiums are doing. And I think actually Vegas had 20%. It's one of the higher capacities, but I think they have a relatively big stadium as well. So,
Yeah.
um,
They also they also aren't allowed to sit in the first like 20 or 30 rows
that's
because
what
they're
we are
too close
too.
to the stadium
Mhm.
or the players. You have to
Yep.
keep the distance there.
Yep. They still have the covers on the seats around the lower bowl for not being close to the ice because of the players. And then you also have the photographers and video guys down there as well. Keep them away from all those guys. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be nice if we can have a regular season, kind of like the football guys did. At least they had their 16 games or whatever it was last season. I know that hockey does a little bit more. So I think having the baseball season first will be a nice gauge of things to see if we can have the 82 games, and we can keep our fingers crossed. See how it goes from
For
there.
sure.
Patreon shout outs for this month are
We have the one, the only Kissel Wings. We also have the amazing Mr. Mac. And we have McKenna. Shout out to you amazing people. Now, Erica, where can people find these incredible people doing amazing things?
You can find Kessel Wings at Kessel Wings on Twitch and Twitter, Mr. Mac92 on Twitch and Twitter at the same name, and McKenna you can find at PotterPants212 on Twitter, and find her awesome work on Patch Notes over at YouTube and on podcast services.
Now, I hear with Patch Notes that it sounds like it's all the gaming news just in one short, concise video. Is that correct?
Absolutely is. It's definitely great, and you should all check it out.
Love it. Well, thank you to all you amazing, beautiful Patreon people. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you for all the incredible support. We love you so much.
Thanks, guys. Well, I think that sounds about great. Do you have anything else to add?
No, that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and talking hockey with me. This has been so much fun. Tell the good people where they can find you.
You can find me at Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Maddock Jr. And you can listen to my other podcast about video games called The Squad Pod with Kevin A. Sex, Washburn, and sometimes Snowbike Mike. You never know.
Yes, go check out his podcast too, because it is a good time. And those are all fantastic guys. We like them all here. So you can find me, as always, Ambelina on Twitch and Twitter. You can find me doing the other podcast over at the oupod.com, where you can find all the links to the YouTube and the podcast feeds and the Patreon and all that good stuff. Yeah, we'll have some bonus content out soon. And until next time, keep it unofficial.